I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to our Commissioners Board meeting for August the 19th of 2021. We are broadcasting live on Microsoft Teams live event, also through BCTV, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. At this time, I'd like to recognize my Executive Assistant, Mary Buer.
Thank you. Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams, Q&A, Facebook, or YouTube. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the discretion of the board. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. The county solicitor shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Mary. We will begin as we normally do with a moment of silence, followed by a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will begin this morning, as we have for some time, with a Berks County COVID-19 data report. This is brought to us from Brian Gottschall, our director of the Berks County Department of Emergency Services and lead for the Berks County COVID-19 leadership team. Brian Gottschall.
Good morning, Commissioner. I'll just give a moment for IT to switch over. Looks like they're broadcasting the slide. And
we cannot hear you, Brian. Let's see. IS, are we having a technical issue?
Can you hear me now, Commissioner?
You know? He is, according to this, he's unmuted.
Can you hear me now, Commissioner?
Worst case scenario, Brian, if you want to click through the slides, or whoever has control of the slides, and we can do the basic narration if you're not able to.
Okay, Commissioner. So someone from IT can confirm that I am audible in the Teams meeting.
We have a CIO here. I'll tell you what, while you're figuring that out, Commissioner Barnhart is not here. I'm going to share a couple items from the updated contact tracing report. This was updated yesterday. We continue to have multiple functioning contact tracing teams in place. The data from July 21st through August 4th, there were 98 new contacts last week, and we successfully reached 69 or 70.3% of them. As far as potential for larger exposures, in that same time period, we received no line lists for exposures at various locations throughout the county. The call center is still operational, and the call center phone number is 1-88712-2772. That's 1-88712-2772. It's still operational with callers receiving a message that the center is closed. Well received, and it remains set up and can be opened again very easily if the need arises. I can tell you that with school opening, some this week, I think more next week, there are concerns with the new Delta variant that we could see some larger issues arise. Again, that will be shared as that data becomes available. Have we been able to address our technical issue? Okay. Brian got y'all.
All righty, Commissioner, how about now?
Sort of, yes.
Okay, I'm being told in chat that IT is confirming that I am audible in the Teams meeting, but this is a problem with the audio coming into the boardroom, I believe. So
That's better. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So not sure where we're at. Hopefully the slide is projected, and we will go ahead and great. We'll move right on then. So taking a look at the slide that we've all come to know over many, many weeks, our cases and testing, we continue to see a fairly significant upward rise in both testing and cases. If you notice the ratio between the blue line, the number of cases smoothed over 14 days, and the orange bars, the number of tests smoothed over 7 days, continues to remain relatively consistent from period to period, while both are in an upward swing. And we'll see what that means to us in this slide, and that is that our positivity percentage continues to increase. We're back to a little bit above 25% positivity, or 1 in 4 tests being conducted coming back positive when considering both the antigen as well as, the rapid antigen testing as well as RT-PCR testing. Our hospitals continue to show small increases week over week in the number of hospitalized patients. One thing that we were able to confirm on a meeting earlier this week with our healthcare advisory panel is that all of those individuals who are hospitalized with COVID at both of the Berks County facilities now are individuals who were not inoculated at the time of their admission. So it continues to support the assertion that the likelihood of reducing an infection to something less than serious illness requiring hospitalization with vaccination continues to be a strong argument. Great news, as always. I shouldn't say as always. Great news, as has been the case in recent weeks. Our deaths are extremely flat. We had been averaging approximately 1 fatality per week, and I think that in the last 12 days or so, we've actually had 0 fatalities. So we like to see that very flat line there for our COVID deaths. Vaccination information, somewhat unchanged. We remain 9th in the state, not surprising given our population. We've had no change in our per capita rankings for fully vaccinated, and we've actually dropped down 1 position with respect to our at least 1 dose numbers. So we've looked at these thermometers now for a number of weeks. We see that Pennsylvania is at about 64.5% of their 70% over the age of 18 goal, and Berks County is at about 60% of that goal. And we've talked about this slide repetitively also, and this is if everybody who started would finish, where we would be at. And the good news is that we would be at about 71.1% over the age of 18 vaccinated if everybody who had their first dose would finish it up. We have a little problem, though, that is being noted, and we've talked about this kind of at a high level over a number of weeks. This is the first time that we've really shown the math or the numbers behind it. So if we go back a month to July 22nd, 4 weeks ago, we had a delta between our fully vaccinated and at least 1 dose of 35,181 people. So said very simply, there were 35,181 people who were in process but not yet fully vaccinated. And because depending on whether you're getting Moderna or Pfizer, it's a 3 or 4 week course, we would expect that after 4 weeks, those 35,181 people should have been moved into the fully vaccinated column, assuming all of them got their second dose, which we're never expecting 100%. But the problem we run into is that when we take a look at the data 4 weeks later, today, August 19th, we don't see that. In fact, what we see is that a little under 10,000 people have moved to fully vaccinated, not the 35,200 we would have expected. And at that same time, our at least one dose has gone up by a little over 11,500 and are in process by about 2,300. So to make it very simple, we assume that none of the newly vaccinated in the last 4 weeks were single shot Janssen. And of course, we know that's not the case, but it makes the math easier. What we see is that there's a growing hole of about 26,000 partially vaccinated people in Berks County. And because we cheated on the Janssen evaluation, what we know is that number is actually higher. And what that really means is that if we back those out and we assume that those folks are not going to finish their vaccination cycle, we're really somewhere around 63.2% of our 18 plus population who is on track to be fully vaccinated. So we're not clear, of course, in every case why folks are not getting their second dose, and we're not physicians. The only thing we would encourage folks is that if they've made a decision to get the first dose of an mRNA vaccine and independently made the decision not to go back for the second dose, we would really encourage them to talk to their healthcare professional about that and come to a determination with some advice from a healthcare professional whether that's a good move or not. And one last slide I want to show here is just kind of how we're stacking up against Pennsylvania as a whole by percentage. And what this shows is the growth in each age category since May 26th. And in the left-hand column is how Pennsylvania grew, and in the right-hand column is how Berks County grew. And I've circled in red or green each of the breakpoints for age, and what we can see is that we in Berks County, in comparison to the rest of the state, are doing a pretty good job. We've grown since May 26th at a rate higher than the state on average in every category, with the exception of the 12 to 18-year-old category. There we are lagging behind the average growth in the state. But you know, I guess I'm trying to mix the message up a little bit here and say that we haven't necessarily met all the goals that we're hoping to meet, but I do think we in Berks County, getting back to our message of do your part, are doing a pretty good job of doing our part. So that's all that I have, Commissioner, other than to, of course, remind everybody about doyourpartberks.com, where they can find information about vaccine providers, as well as the ability to go to your local pharmacies or your healthcare professional if you'd like to pursue vaccine. And with that, Commissioner, I will pause and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian from our staff here? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And just for the record, you are supposed to be on vacation, but we appreciate you interrupting your vacation to provide the COVID report. So go back and take it easy. Are there any additions or corrections for the minutes for August the 12th Commissioner meeting? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have an executive session on August the 17th. It dealt with personnel, litigation, and contract negotiations. Mary, well, we're going to start actually, if you can look online, as we move to in-person, we handle in-person comments first, and then go online, and then anyone that shows up after 10 a.m. in person would go last. Right now, we're looking at comments that deal with specific agenda items, and I have 5 individuals signed up. I will do my best in pronouncing the various names. I want to remind you, as I call your name, please step up to the microphone, state your name and your municipality, and you have 3 minutes to present. The first presenter is Celine Schreier, and she wants to speak on the issue of amending the...
It's Celine Schreier. I'm a resident of Center Park in West. And as you noted, that's where I'm from. I'm currently a tax-paying resident here in Reading. I actually am only 30 minutes away, living in Wernersville for most of my life, watching Berks County change and grow. So I know that our county is very capable of doing incredible things and changing in the times. But I'm also well aware of the fact that this county is capable of committing massive mistakes. For instance, one was signing the contract initially with ICE to even allow them to detain and incarcerate immigrant families for 2 decades. And a second massive mistake would be actually converting it into a women's detention center after it's finally been empty of the families that it held. Having a detention facility here in my hometown is heartbreaking. It does not reflect our community values of caring for our neighbors and supporting one another when we're needed. Any form of detention here, no matter what name it's being hidden behind, goes against the very idea of having a loving and welcoming and compassionate community. Berks County consistently boasts of its rich history, its beautiful land, and its diversity. But I'm really not sure how we can be proud of anything when this is a giant stain of immigrant detention is covering everything else for us. The families and children that were held there were harmed here. And no matter how many want to claim that those statements from those detained were lies, we know that they aren't. It is well known that ICE and even our own commissioners here today have touted the center as a model for immigrant detention while human rights abuses were actually unfolding. The reports of institutional rape, verbal abuse, workers' rights violations, and medical neglect show us otherwise. Children as young as 7 years old were attempting to end their own lives due to the conditions and the trauma of being incarcerated. I can't even begin to imagine the stress a child must endure for that to actually occur. A young mother was sexually abused, and the response was to punish the women at the center through curtailing their choice in dress, as if that played any part in why it even occurred. And now you want to turn the center into an incarceration center for immigrant women when the clear decision here is to end the contract. There is always the option to do what the community is calling for. End the human suffering permanently instead of passing it on to another group of immigrants. One that is historically at higher risk of abuse, specifically medical abuse. This is a chance for us to develop a new community resource that we need. It is a chance for you, our commissioners, to work with the public and actually answer those needs. And to announce the change with only days until the vote, in which we're only provided a 30-minute comment period for all community members, is frankly a little absurd. This is a massive issue and a massive concern for us. There's a long history of abuses against immigrant women in detention centers, and before voting on this matter, the public should be given an overview of ICE's history with women's prisons to see what we're bringing to our backyard.
Okay.
In August of 2020,
Time, please sit down.
I'm almost done. In August of 2020, multiple news sources reported that ICE guards had been systematically sexually assaulting women in the El Paso detention
If you
center.
don't sit down, we will have to have you removed.
I'm
Please.
almost done with my comment. I am a taxpaying citizen and I think
Look,
I deserve that time.
I'm sorry.
There's plenty of time for you to be heard today.
We cannot allow one person to have one length of time and another person a different length. The rules are very clear. Please sit down.
I hear that, but again, I'm almost done.
Please.
It was done in areas of the prison not visible to security cameras, and they were coerced into silence out of fear.
Don't touch her, please. Let her go. Please ask her to sit down. I don't want anyone touched. This is a simple thing. This has been a rule, I think, as long as I've been here, 3 minutes. So please, let's respect what the rules are. The next speaker is Jules Monado, also on amending the ICE contract.
Good morning. My name is Jules Monado, and I am a resident of Reading. I am sharing today about the experience of Bethany Carson, who has worked for 7 years with immigrants detained at T. Don Hutto Detention Center in Taylor, Texas, the only ICE detention center that has ever made the transition you are considering today. Their organization first became involved with advocating for the families detained at Hutto in 2006 after receiving reports from attorneys about families detained in horrific conditions. They raised the alarm, and public outcry, coupled with a legal settlement, forced some condition changes inside the prison. In 2009, the Obama administration transitioned Hutto into a women's detention center. It was billed as a model facility with yoga classes, crafts, and computers, and would abide by the conditions that had been negotiated under the lawsuit. Here's what actually happened next. In 2010, a guard was arrested for the sexual assault of more than 5 women as he was driving them to the airport. Since then, the facility has been plagued with sexual assault allegations. Most recently, in 2017, a woman reported that she had been sexually assaulted by a guard. When they supported her in launching a public campaign to investigate, ICE and CoreCivic retaliated against her, including keeping her locked up with her abuser, placing her in solitary confinement, and denying appropriate mental health care. It took a federal lawsuit, congressional involvement, and continued pressure from community members to finally free her after 4 long months. In the summer of 2018, dozens of mothers separated from their children at the border under the zero tolerance policy sent heartbreaking letters from Hutto asking for help to reunify with their children. These cases are just the tip of the iceberg. Hutto was always and continues to be a prison, whether it holds families or adults or women. And while abuse is rampant at Hutto, even a golden cage would continue to impose more trauma on people already fleeing violence. So you have a moral decision to make. Does Berks County really want to be responsible for the kind of violence inherent in ICE detention? But it's also a financial one. As they reminded their own county commissioners before they cut their contract with Hutto, counties such as Allegheny and McHenry have had to pay out $750,000 to over $1 million for wrongful death lawsuits. And this could easily happen at a facility like Hutto or Berks. How will you make sure that Berks County taxpayers will not foot the bill for these abuses? I want to leave you with the impact of adult detention on children. Many of their members have had spouses detained and deported, leaving families torn apart and financially devastated. They've watched their children grow up with lifelong psychological battles because of this separation. Don't make the same mistake at Berks. Now you know where this road goes. Choose a different one. Shut down Berks and fund community needs instead. Thank you.
Next, I will recognize Alex Elizabeth, also on amending the ICE contract.
Hi, my name is Alex. I've been a Berks County citizen and community member of the City of Reading for 5 years now. I really love the city and have found a home in the City of Reading in the time that I've been here in a way that I have not been able to find anywhere else that I've lived. This city and county are both beautiful and diverse, flourishing and teeming with life and culture. Thank you. That being said, I have concerns about the agenda item that is up for vote today, specifically regarding the Berks County Residential Center. Our community deserves more spaces to serve its beautiful, diverse citizens, not places where our community members of any kind will be held captive. We all deserve communities and community access, not cages. As a tax-paying community member of Berks County, I want to see these spaces utilized for the greatest good to benefit the constituents of this county that would help to build our community up, not lock up its members. I believe that you, the commissioners, must vote against changing the purpose of the Berks County Residential Center today. Renewing any contract with Immigration Customs Enforcement to hold and isolate any people in our county is absolutely not the answer. The space that could do so much good in our community if we make the choice to not refill it with people who deserve to be in their homes and with their families. We need to make the choice as a community to do what's right for our fellow community members. I'm here to ask you to please do what is in the best interest of all of our community members, to not renew the contract with ICE, to vote against changing the purpose of the Berks County Residential Center. I ask that you, the commissioners, to consider how this vote affects your constituents and suggest that you must end the contract with ICE and to stop using the Berks County Residential Center as any type of detention facility. Regardless of who it holds, it's inhumane, unjust, and a scourge on our otherwise amazing community. I would also like to point out the lack of justice, consideration of our dignity as community members, and lack of democracy that's been going on throughout this process. starting with a white paper deal being signed in a very quick way that lacked transparency with the city and surrounding community, and to now, where again, the county has lacked the ability to give us time and transparency to adequately prepare to make our voices heard regarding today's vote. We deserve and are entitled to a reasonable amount of time as your constituents to comment on any issue before a decision takes place. The public, who are the citizens of this county who pay your wages, who you represent and work on the behalf of, deserve more time to comment on such an important vote than 2 days. 2 days is not a reasonable amount of time to comment on such an important vote. This is a serious issue that deeply affects our community on many levels and requires full public participation in the interest of genuine transparency and true democracy. I'm also asking each of you as men with families, genuinely, please, to consider the impact that this could have on so many families in our community.
Please, thank you. The next individual is Bridget Cambria on amending the ICE contract.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you vote today. I think that it's really important that you listened to the previous speakers. I thought that what they said was very powerful, and I thought it was very compelling. And I, as a Berks County resident, and I've been a Berks County resident for 41 years, I trust them and I believe them, and I think that what they have to say is something you should listen to. I also appreciate the opportunity to speak to you before you vote, because today you make a really huge decision for the County of Berks. For 20 years or so, the Berks County Residential Center detained families, and at the beginning it detained unaccompanied minors. And the detention patterns have ebbed and flowed at the Berks County Residential Center, but at its inception, the idea was to provide a facility for families or children. That has ended. The United States has decided that we're not going to detain unnecessarily families or children. It's the right decision. And now, for all these 20 years, what we've been told in Berks County was that people in Berks County wanted to work with families and wanted to work with children. But sort of what we're demonstrating today, if we vote in favor of ICE, is that really we were voting in favor of ICE and not of protecting families and protecting children. I bought into that idea. I was an employee at the Berks County Residential Center for 1 year. It's what propelled me to go to law school, because what I saw, I couldn't support. I tried my best to take care of the families and children that were there. I thought that by being nice to them or by, taking care of them every day, that I was doing the right thing. But in the end, I was powerless to help them, because what they needed was freedom, and what they needed was welcoming. So the United States now is supposedly beginning to welcome the refugee. They want to welcome refugees. We're seeing women fleeing Afghanistan this week. It's horrible to watch on the TV, and we understand what our obligations are. We need to welcome people that are in danger. But I want to tell you the risk that you're taking by not abandoning the idea of detaining people in this county. This is a huge opportunity to do the right thing, By transitioning to detaining women, you're taking a bigger risk. With families and children, there is oversight, there's protection. Women in detention are a particularly vulnerable population. You're taking a huge risk. I know, because I also represent women who are detained in other facilities. I know that what the intention is here is to detain women at a scale of at least 100. I will finish my comment. You're doubling that capacity, and my fear is that you're risking a lot of collateral damage to this county. I urge you to vote no, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. The last person signed in person is Adriana Zambran. I'm not sure. Also amending the ICE contract.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you at this meeting. My name is Adriana Zambrano. I've been living and paying, I'm from the municipality of Reading. I've been living and paying taxes in the county of Berks since 2016. I live here. I met and married my partner here. She was born and raised here. My in-laws live here. My dog, we're a Berks County family. As a Floridian, I never thought I would say this, but Berks County has become my home. This is my home, and in my home, we welcome refugees. This is an important decision that the commissioners are making today, and I'm very concerned about this as a taxpayer resident. This is about how we define our home of Berks County. After February, when the decision was made to halt the detention of families at the Berks County Residential Center, we had an opportunity to do the right thing, like Bridget said. We still have that opportunity to break away from ICE, an agency that has been so problematic, an agency that has been responsible for the death of vulnerable human beings in its custody. We had the opportunity to say enough. We had the opportunity to not take this enormous risk. We had the opportunity to say, not in our house. We had the massive opportunity to repurpose this facility for the good of the people of Berks County. And you failed to take up that opportunity, commissioners. Detaining immigrant women is just as wrong, unnecessary, and dangerous as the detention of families. Immigrant detention in every way is also separation. Detention separates individuals from their families who are willing and able to take them into their home while their legal process moves along. It means separation from communities like ours, which are made better by the presence and by the investments of immigrants. Detention is also separation from access to critical services. This administration has not done much to roll back the Trump administration's cruel policies against immigrants. The abuses and denial of critical services faced by women and girls in immigration detention are systemic, and they transcend any one administration and any one detention facility. Detention is the problem. The decision you make today will determine whether Berks is part of the solution or part of this problem. The Berks County Residential Center, as an immigration detention center, has proven to not only be incapable of providing adequate women's health care, but has also shown to actually inflict damage on the health of women and girls by denying services, neglecting medical needs, and creating new trauma. And I will close with this. I know that there's been an interesting relationship, perhaps some animosity, between the lawyers and this county commissioners. However, we're doubling the capacity of this facility. You're going to double the amount of lawyers that come here to speak to you and to defend the people.
Please be seated.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a number of people with comments online. At this time, I will recognize Mary Buer, my executive assistant, to read those comments.
Thank you. Jess Royer, Spring Township, agenda item 299. Instead of initiating a new detention process in Berks County, please terminate the relationship with ICE and find a different use for the Berks County Residential Center. Thank you. Christopher Ellis, Reading, please do not convert the Berks Detention Center into a women's facility. Repurpose it for something of benefit to all community members. We should not be part of this. Samuel Mattis, Fleetwood, I oppose any contract with ICE that the Berks commissioners are considering. The detention center should be repurposed into something that will benefit the people of Berks. Tanya Wenger, I'm extremely concerned about this vote for using the Berks County Residential Center for detaining immigrant women. First of all, I don't think there has been reasonable time given to hear about this proposal and vote, as it was only announced 2 days ago. I don't think the vote should be held today. In any case, many of us taxpayers from the county and beyond, including those who are people of faith like myself, do not support any yes vote for ICE to be in Berks County anymore. We have seen the sexual assault, medical neglect, and other inhumane treatment that has occurred at the detention center previously when it was used to jail families, and also know this same kind of abuse has been happening at other ICE centers that detain or are detaining women immigrants in the United States, as documented by Freedom for Immigrants and other human rights organizations. Instead, we want this facility to be used for positive community health and human services. Frank Eric, he's from Why I'm Missing. I see that future plans for the Berks County Residential Center is on the agenda today. As a resident, I've been long concerned with the detention of immigrants in our county. I object to including this on the agenda today with very little public notice. This seems like a continuation of the secrecy involved in commissioners' negotiations with ICE, which the county, in fact, is facing a Sunshine Act lawsuit on. The proposal to convert the center from family detention to women-only incarceration is a slap in the face for all of us. Invest in human needs, not more repression.
What about the second?
Noah Kennedy White from Fleetwood. As a community member, I can't condone the reopening of the Berks County ICE Detention Center. This is an immoral and inherently violent decision that has no benefit. Kristen Elizabeth from Reading. I wanted to direct a comment at Commissioners Rivera and Leinbach. Reopening the ICE Detention Center in Leesport is a heinous and immoral act that will only cause harm. The institution is a stain on our county. The county should end its partnership with ICE immediately, and the building should be converted into something productive that benefits the whole community instead of harming vulnerable people. Thank you. Thanks. Taman Johnson, Leesport. The county should end its partnership with ICE and convert the building into something productive that benefits the whole community instead of harming vulnerable people. Jason Kuhn from Burnville. Hi, I wanted to direct a comment at Commissioners Rivera Leinbach. Reopening the ICE Detention Center. The institution stains our county. It should be removed. My name is Daniel Cortez and I live in Muhlenberg Township. I am an attorney with Community Justice Project, a local nonprofit that works with immigrants who are victims of domestic violence. The board should not renew any contract with ICE. There are many ways to safely release and monitor immigrants. Women are the most vulnerable community members and historically are victims of crime, abuse, and exploitation. Victims of violence are eligible for immigration relief, but we do want this detention center to be the root of victims' legalization process. We want immigrants to be able to apply for immigration relief affirmatively as opposed to as a result of victims of violence. This is what we risk, whether we will increase the risk of abuse of vulnerable women. Instead, the county and we will continue to be a hub of immigrants. We need to support immigrants by educating them, not detaining them. Adrian Jadick, Why I'm Missing. Please don't renew the contract with ICE. And that concludes the comments of the Q&A.
There's one more. Jess Royer had a second comment, but it's on a different item. There's two amendments to the contract, so please read Jess Royer's comment.
How much funding will Berks County be appropriating for the Berks County Residential Center, and what will the reimbursement from ICE be to offset those costs? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That ends public comment on specific agenda items. I will reserve my comments right before we actually vote.
And just so the record's clear, I did dismiss 3 comments. Yes, I did dismiss 3 comments on agenda items. They were a Facebook comment from a person from Texas, a Facebook comment from a chat comment from someone from Philadelphia, and also a comment from an individual from Lancaster. Our policy requires that you be a Berks County resident because these individuals were not Berks County residents. The comments were dismissed.
No, and state law requires us to allow comment from residents within our county. Okay, moving into the agenda items. Item 1, authorizing. Under that, Budget Department. Adopt a resolution authorizing 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $32,017 and $17 appropriations in the amount of $386,254 per listing dated August the 13th of 2021. We have several items listed under Human Resources. Item 1, authorize the appointment of Douglas Bowden to Facilities Manager in Facilities. Item 2, authorize the appointment of Patricia Hodges to part-time RN Supervisor, Berksheim Nursing. Item 3, authorize the promotion of Kristen Schlottman from Judicial Coordinator, Court Administration to Juvenile Court Operations Manager in Juvenile Probation. Item 4, authorize a salary adjustment for Mark Liacano, Facilities Manager in Facilities and Operations. And item 5, authorize the hourly part-time adjustments for telecommunicators as outlined on the attached listing. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing approval of revised avoidance of infectious respiratory disease spread policy and procedures, section 9.9 with a revision date of August 19th as attached. There are several items listed under the commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing execution of the Berksheim Nursing and Rehabilitation Open Employment and Volunteer Policy, the Equal Opportunity for Staff Development, and the Open Admissions Policy Statement in accordance with the provisions of the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act. Item B, adopt a resolution ratifying, confirming, and approving Christine Sadler, Berks County Solicitor, to execute the waiver of conflict letter for Stevens and Lee to represent the works at Wyomissing LLC Real Estate Tax Assessment Matters. Item C, adopt a resolution authorizing execution of a letter of commitment to support and participate in the comprehensive economic development strategy planning activities with other counties in South Central Pennsylvania. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute amendment modifications between Berks County and the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement to convert Berks County Residential Center from a family facility to a low-level female-only facility, subject to final review and approval of the terms and conditions by the county solicitor. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute amendment/modifications between Berks County and the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to provide funding for the residential program at the Berks County Residential Center, subject to final review and approval of the terms and conditions by the county solicitor. Item 2, a motion to authorize execution of contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the attached listing dated August the 17th of 2021. There are a total of 23 contracts, 1 with Archives, 2 with the Area Agency on Aging, 1 with the Berksheim, 6 with Children and Youth Services, 1 with the Department of Emergency Services, 1 with Facilities and Operations, 1 with Information Systems, 1 with the Berks County Jail, 1 with Juvenile Probation, one with the Berks County Library, one with the MDJs, and one with 4 with mental health and developmental disabilities, and 1 with the solicitor's office. And then item 3, a motion to ratify and confirm payments is set forth on the Controller's Office voucher listing dated August the 17th of 2021, and the payment of electronic transfers and employee payroll.
Motion to approve agenda as presented.
I will second the motion. The motion has been made and seconded. I will open it up for discussion, and I will begin. This is not a new issue. On the ICE facility, we've been discussing the same exact issues and claims for several years. And let me be very clear on several points. Number 1, if the claims that have been made by those opposing the facility were anywhere close to true, the facility would have been shut down years ago. It has not. I am proud of the staff and the leadership of our facility and the way they have treated families. ICE has come to the County of Berks and asked for a modification of an existing contract. As a result of that request, I will support moving forward with the ICE amendment to the... If you're not quiet, we will have to ask you to leave.
Shameful. Shame on you. Shame on you. Wildly unpopular. Nobody wants this.
Please
Democracy.
be seated. Be seated.
I'm in favor.
Be seated or leave. You brought it up. This was an issue in the 2019 campaign. The people of Berks County spoke pretty clearly. That's all I'll say on that issue. Remove. One more, you need to be quiet. There is a process in place.
Yeah, it's called democracy. Listen to your constituency and follow through with what they say.
We did.
No, you didn't.
Look, I'm fine with debate and discussion. But the reality is we gave the opportunity for individuals to speak.
2 days. Unreasonable.
Sir, you know what the rules are. Please, quiet. I don't want to have to ask you to leave. I'm going to support because I believe it is the right thing for Berks County to.
You represent us. We don't believe that it's the right thing to do. That's your job.
Sir, please leave.
Gladly.
Thank you.
Nothing. Despicable. Horrible.
So,
History better shine well on you and your terrible decision. Listen to what we're saying.
I listened clearly to what has been said. That's where I am. I don't know, Commissioner Rivera, if you want to make any comments.
Yeah, just a few comments. I understand the passion of the people here, although I don't agree with everything. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there as well as to what goes on and what doesn't go on at the residential center. The state has been conducting monthly inspections now for a while. And as Commissioner Leinbach said, had there been any issues that were not addressed, if there were any, they would have shut it down a while ago, and that has not been the case. Just to address a comment as well, we listen. Listening doesn't mean agreeing. Also, we don't represent a group of Berks Countyans. We represent the county as a whole and look out what is in the best interest for the county as a whole. So it's not that we are not listening. It just means that we don't necessarily agree with what a certain group or a certain person is saying, but we are listening. And that's the right that everyone has to come and share their points of view. And we'll listen to them and take that into consideration. But at the end, we have to make the decisions which we feel are in the best interest of the county. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The rate? Ma'am, do not, please. Please. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. With that, I will turn to Dennis Adams, our county treasurer, with the treasurer's report.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're muted, Dennis. You're muted.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay, keep skipping back and forth. We have an opening balance today of $226,493,855.07. A balance to clear of $8,164,159.67, leaving us with a balance of $218,320,695.40.
Thank you very much, Dennis. We'll move now to our county controller, Sandy Graffius, with the controller's report.
Our total accounts payable, $10,198,971. We had a payroll this week, $4,355,276 for a grand total of $14,554,247.96.
Thank you very much. I'll turn now to our Chief Administrative Officer, Ron Seaman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just highlighting some of the special programming at our Parks Department that will be coming up in the next week. On Thursday evening, August 26th at 7 p.m. at the Berks County Heritage Center, please join Dr. Karen Campbell of Albright College for a presentation of the return of the bats of the bridge. It explores the lives and bats from around the world to our own Berks's covered red bridge. This event is free and open to the public, does not require pre-registration. On Saturday, August 28th at 11 a.m. at the Bingham Nature Center, there is a program entitled Watersheds, Macros, and Microscopes. This does require pre-registration, and the details on how that's accomplished can be found on the Berks County Park and Recreation Department Facebook page or the county website. And then also on Saturday, August the 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., the storage shed containing all of the Gruber Wagon Works collection will be on display. Again, open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. The Gruber Wagon Works, the C. Howard Easter Canal Museum, the Epler's one-room schoolhouse, and the Bingham Nature Center. Consult the county webpage for details on those times. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. We'll move now to commissioners' comments. Commissioner Rivera.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Have a few things I want to touch on here. First, I'd like to thank the Berks Farm Bureau for allowing my assistant and I to go on a tour yesterday of 3 different farms in the county. And I want to thank those farms for opening up their doors to us and showing how things work and letting us know what the needs are in the farming community. One was a duck developer housing, the other was a beef farmer, and the other was a dairy farmer. So we learned a lot, and I want to again thank the Farm Bureau for coordinating that, and to the farm owners for opening up their farms to us. Also, the Reading Musical Foundation will be holding a free concert by Reading's own Ringgold Band. And this is on Sunday, August 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Reading Liederkranz on 143 Spook Lane in Reading. So again, mark that on your calendar. That is Sunday, August 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. So it will be a great event and it's free. So make sure you get out there and enjoy that that concert. Also, there will be a back to school carnival where they will be handing out school supplies for kids here, and it will be located at Charis Community Church at 123 North 6th Street. It's a free event. Again, for those who need school supplies for your kids, please go there, and they will be providing those to children. One other item here on my list is there has been a lot of help out there for renters, and that program is still going on. But there has really not been any or much assistance out there for homeowners. Pennsylvania has been allocated $350 million through the Federal Homeowner Assistance Fund to help homeowners behind on their mortgage and other home-related expenses due to COVID. The Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, PHFA, has been designated by the state legislature to administer this program in the Commonwealth. At this time, PHFA is working to develop the Pennsylvania program, which will need to be approved by the U.S. Treasury before it can become operational. And it will include online and mobile application portals as well. Applicants will be able to apply and submit required documentation through the web-based application, or may be assisted by a third-party counseling agency with that process. We don't have all the information on that yet, but it's anticipated that Pennsylvania's program will be available sometime in the fall. So I will keep everyone updated on that. To sign up to receive updates about the financial relief, you can visit www.phfa.org/HAF. Again, www.phfa.org/HAF. So please share this information with anyone that you know is a homeowner and has been financially affected by COVID. Let them know that this help will be forthcoming. And that's all I have. Commissioner Leinbach, back to you.
So a couple. If you would briefly explain the difference between the revenue in the old ICE contract versus the new amended contract. I know that the media here and the public in general would want to know that. I know it's not significant, but there is a slight decline in revenue from one contract to, well, it's the same contract in the amendment.
Yes, Commissioners, the structure of this agreement is the same as it has been. It's just before it was family and children, and now it's women. The agreement is that the federal ICE will cover 100% of our operating costs. So that's wages, benefits, utilities, those kind of things. And so we have no out-of-pocket cost. We don't ask the taxpayers of the county to contribute $1 at all towards our cost. The per diem rate that they pay us covers that. And then in addition to that, we get an additional $1,033,000. And it used to be $1,088,100. So it's a $55,000 decrease to accomplish that annually. The good news is.
And that accommodates Homeland Security?
Yes, that includes everything.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And
which is also out at the facility.
Correct. So that drops to the bottom line and benefits all the taxpayers of the county from a general fund perspective.
Okay. Thank you. The only other thing I want to touch on, I think everyone is pretty much aware that in the spring, Congress and the President authorized the American Rescue Plan, which put an unprecedented amount of money out to states, cities, counties, and in a place like Pennsylvania, municipalities. There aren't many similar states to Pennsylvania like that. However, there is continued frustration because we're still waiting on final federal guidelines. So I want to give people just a caution. you may wonder why there isn't a whole lot of movement or a whole lot of discussion apart from a couple of areas of how American Rescue Plan money is being spent. And it's because it's almost impossible to spend it yet. Transportation areas are so unknown that in our subcommittee, and I talked to others across the country, we don't even know what kind of projects to look at. So our transportation subcommittee here in Berks is at a standstill. We don't know when we're going to get the final rules. And I bring this up because I just talked to someone on the phone this morning that called and asked what was going on. And just make you aware, I smile to a certain degree. Only in the federal government would Berks County already have over 40 million of its 81.6 allotment and not know how to spend it. Now, this is a little different than last year with CARES money. Not only was all of that part of the legislation initially, in fact, until the 11th hour, the money had to be spent by the end of the year of last year. These dollars, fortunately, most of them are either spent by the end of 2025 or the end of 2026. So we have some time. I don't want people to panic and think that we're not able to do anything and we've got to turn it back. But just so people are aware, the federal guidelines, there have been some basic guidelines, but where's Pam? Pam is actually, Pam, you're online.
I am, Commissioner.
We're not, Pam is leading the American Rescue effort for the county of Berks. And we just really can't do a whole lot until we get those final guidelines. Do you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that the community is aware that we are in full-on information gathering mode. We think that the best and most effective ways that we can make a lasting impact on the residents of Berks County and our community is to make sure that we are putting funds into projects that we're either leveraging other dollars in communities, making sure that we are coordinating with our municipalities and school districts who are also receiving direct allocations, and that will truly provide the best impacts and most positive impacts on the community. So we are like other communities who have already received 50% of their funds. Some communities are being very cautiously moving forward with some expenditures. We are also being very cautious, and we want to ensure that everything meets the guidelines and statutory requirements that are being laid out. So information gathering is very important. And again, being able to leverage and make the most impactful investments is what we're striving for.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments from our row officers? Yes, Sandy.
I know I've been beating this drum for a couple months, but I'll tell you that our debit cards that were handed out to the election people, we still have 71 people that have not cashed in their cards. As of the end of August, you're going to start getting charged $3.99 a month if you don't cash in your card. Please get back to, we gave out 1,147. So to be down to 71 is the good news. The bad news is those 71 people are going to lose their money at a rate of $3.99 a month if you don't get in there and cash your card. Please feel free to call the controller's office if you need help to do this. We're here to give you a hand on guiding you through it. But cash in your debit cards. We don't want you not to get your money.
Is there any possibility of your office reaching out to those people that haven't cashed them?
As a matter of fact, there are 8 judge of elections that their money's over $200. And so we're going to start to call them specifically to help them get through that. The other part of the 71 are regular election workers that worked that day.
These are workers that worked,
Yep.
They earned those dollars,
Exactly.
And for some reason they're struggling to use it or they've lost it. They might feel that they don't have any options. I'd like to make sure that they get paid.
Yeah, please call our office if you need help signing into the core funds. It's very simple once you have directions. And the fact that we gave out 1147 and we're down to 71 is a good news, but I don't want those 71 to lose their money.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever had 71 people not paid for working on election day. So that's the flip side of that equation. I want to make sure people that did the work get paid. So
Absolutely.
whatever we can do.
Yep.
Okay. I'm looking, Mary. I do not see any additional public comment. Okay.
I did, just because I said I would do this every week, I did dismiss 5 additional comments. 2 additional comments were dismissed as second comments from individuals. 1 comment was dismissed because no municipality was listed, and 2 other comments were dismissed as they had no name associated with those.
Okay.
So there was a total of 8 that were dismissed for not following our approved resolution guidelines.
Thank you very much. Accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Meeting is adjourned.